Do you want to piss electric? Mountain Dew voltage. Crap thunder and piss electric, bitch! What's going on, guys? It is late at night, and it is time for a Cover Killer Nightcap album review. Has to be, considering it's close to midnight. Just got off of work a couple of hours ago, and two announcements for you guys. Firstly, I told you I would announce the winner of the Music Madness tournament in a little video. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that now. For those of you who don't know, which are the people that didn't attend my blog TV the other night, 2010 Music Madness winner was Iron Maiden, defeating Opeth 42-28. Thanks to everybody who voted. And secondly, due to the 15-minute extension now to YouTube's time limit, I can now actually do an album review that I never got the opportunity to put up, considering it was too long, just under 15 minutes. And I'm going to announce who that is at the end of this video, so you're definitely going to watch until the end. Now, the album that I'm going to talk about tonight is from 2003. It's the first non-Up the Irons Week review that I've done now in a week, so this should be exciting for those of you who are getting tired of that, which I know a lot of you are still filtering over there to see that. So, the album that I'm going to talk about is A Murder of Crows by Dead Soul Tribe. Dead Soul Tribe is actually a band that's been out there for a while. However, it's one that I just recently discovered while doing some searching about a month ago, and really grown to really love this album. This is a band that's made up of members of the former band Psychotic Waltz, and it involves brilliant and beautiful poetry, really just sung beautifully over the very flowing music that can be considered to be kind of progressive jazz or just experimental. There's a lot of different ways that you can actually classify this music, and I classify it as one thing, and that's awesome. This is a great album. It's actually the first album of theirs that I checked out, and it still retains to be my favorite to this day. Not just because it was the first, but also because it's the most memorable for me currently. It starts off with a brilliant two-part, two-track little thing with Stone by Stone and The Awakening collectively making up a song called Feed. Very, very good introduction, and it kind of gets you in the midst of what exactly Dead Soul Tribe does. Some of the standout tracks that I have on this particular album are Angels and Vertigo, In a Garden Made of Stones, which is just hypnotic, and it is very, very addicting. This is a song that you will play on repeat, and I'll be honest with you, while Crows on the Wire is also a great track, not to mention the most epic on the release, it's 6 minutes and 47 seconds, it's actually the bonus track, which you're hearing right now, which is probably one of the best tracks on the release, entitled Time. It's kind of funny to think that maybe if this would not have been included as a bonus track, it never would have been on this record, and really we would have been deprived with one of the better cuts on the record. It's mostly acoustic, done with the piano in the background. His voice just flows very, very nicely over the music. It's very, very nice. It's a very unique ending to the album, since it is a bonus track, of course. And it also fully displays the poetic nature of his lyrics. It's something that you're going to see throughout this album, don't get me wrong. However, Time is probably one of the best exhibitions of this particular aspect of his music. And this is something that they openly have stated is a core element to what they do. Every single piece of music, along with the lyrics that accompany it, are all poetry within themselves. Not merely just the lyrics that retain that poetic nature. It's actually the body of work as a whole that is supposed to have this particular element to it. And it is something that is very beautifully and brilliantly displayed on this particular album. Now let me tell you, as far as ratings is concerned, this is one that's very, very difficult for me to do. Mainly because, for one, I'm going to change this over to The Garden Made of Stones. But mainly because it's something that's very new to me. Something that I've only had the opportunity to listen to for about a month. Now you might be screaming at me, Cover Killer. You have had to listen to bands and albums and make up these reviews and make up your mind in roughly a couple of hours, let alone maybe 24 tops. How come this is so difficult? Well, it's because of this, actually. And a lot of this stuff that I've reviewed in the past, I've known a little bit of the band's body of work in the past. I've known stuff about them, so I can actually analyze and kind of compare. And in those particular elements or those particular bands where I can't do that, you'll notice the review's a little bit more short, not as concise, and is really based upon the body of work as a whole, as opposed to the body of their entire band's work and band's log as a whole. So with Dead Soul Tribe, with this particular album, A Murder of Crows, it's one that I'm definitely going to give high marks, definitely going to give it the gentleman's 8 out of 10, because it is An idea that's not very new, considering Psychotic Waltz has been doing it as well, and another band that I discovered, the band formerly known as Peach, now known as Sons of the Tundra, have done something very similar to this for quite a long time. Peach has been around since the early 1990s. They were actually the UK tourmates of Tool during their early days. So Dead Soul Tribe isn't necessarily doing something that's all of that clever or unique. However, their take on it is certainly where it actually shines as clever and unique, because they take the whole poetry aspect, they apply it not only to the lyrics, they apply it to the whole body of the whole body of work, so to speak. The full composition is seen as poetic and flows as such, and that's something that is very true. Something that you will notice whenever you listen to this album. Tool and Dead Soul Tribe actually draw some comparisons at some point. However, you can definitely hear the Dead Soul Tribe kind of takes that experimental vibe to a more metal degree, to a harder edge degree. So that's something that is very dissimilar about them. Because while Tool is able to really up the amp a little bit, it's something that still is a very high reservation of theirs. Whereas Dead Soul Tribe would not be lumped in your pop rock section at your local FYE. It would be something that would certainly have to be in metal. And if it was not, I'd be lobbying for it to be there because it certainly deserves it. So, overall, this is what I'm going to have to say about this particular release. This is certainly one that if you're a fan of experimental music, if you're a fan of Tool, if you're a fan of the idea and the concept of the composition as a whole, should I say, being poetic as opposed to just the lyrics themselves, then this is certainly an experiment that you yourself need to take part of. You need to be a patient in this experiment. 8 out of 10 is not only a fair score, it may actually be a score that will change in the future to something a little bit higher as I gain a little bit more experience with this band, not to mention bands similar to them. So definitely expect a lot of unique album reviews, a lot of them from the past, from the stuff that I picked up over the past month. And oh yeah, stay tuned for the next album review that will be coming sometime probably tomorrow or the next day, which will be a Cover Killer classic that almost never saw the light of day. Thank YouTube for this one for extending their policy to 15 minutes. Alice in Chains, Dirt.